At 49th Street and 6th Avenue, chaos erupts as a new villain crew called The Menagerie storms an auction house. The group, White Rabbit, Skeen, Hippo, and Pandamania, are stealing incredibly valuable jeweled eggs during a high-end auction. White Rabbit charges forward with a basket full of ornate Fabergé eggs, barking orders while the street fills with panicking civilians. She shouts for people to move aside and tells her teammates to block the street so the police can't follow them. Pandamania confirms she's on it while crowds scatter in every direction. In the middle of the chaos, a confused man holding his baby tries to make sense of what's happening, awkwardly wondering if the whole thing is some kind of Easter event or maybe a late April Fool's joke. His confusion quickly turns into panic as people shove past him while yelling that more superpowered freaks are attacking. The man struggles to stay upright while protecting his child, desperately warning people to watch where they're going. As the crowd surges around him, he begins to lose his balance and falls forward, crying out in fear for his baby as he shouts, "Hey, watch it! I got a child here!" before screaming, "No, Lois!" just as he's about to crash to the ground. A web line suddenly snaps tight in midair and stops their fall. Spider-Man swings into the scene. "Gotcha! No squished babies. Not on my first day back." White Rabbit is stunned that he's still on their tail, angry that their carefully planned auction heist is being ruined. She fires from her umbrella while complaining that she spent months organizing this job only for Spider-Man to show up and wreck everything. Spider-Man counters with quick web shots. "Silly rabbit." His webs slam into her mid-attack, knocking her off balance and sending her crashing to the ground. As she falls, the basket full of priceless eggs spills into the air. Looking at White Rabbit and the mess she caused, he delivers the punchline of the moment, telling her that this is what happens for putting all your Fabergé eggs in one basket. Spider-Man then reacts instantly. With a flick of his wrist, he wraps the entire collection in webbing and anchors it safely out of the way so none of them break. Spider-Man calls out to the crowd and asks someone to check on them in about an hour, joking that otherwise they'll turn into the world's most expensive omelet. The moment of humor doesn't last long because the massive Hippo suddenly storms onto the scene, lifting an entire car. Furious that the heist is falling apart, he complains that the job was supposed to be his big score and that he planned to retire off the money from it. Spider-Man can't resist another joke, asking if that means the eggs were supposed to be his nest eggs. Hippo doesn't find that funny at all. He hurls the car directly at him while shouting for him to stop making jokes because he just ruined his entire future. Spider-Man dodges the attack while still keeping up the banter, sarcastically pointing out that technically they're already in the future. After all, there are flying cars now. From the crowd watching the fight, some bystanders react with excitement because Spider-Man's constant jokes remind them of the old days. One woman points out that he's joking again and says it looks like the real Spider-Man is finally back. But then the crowd suddenly notices something strange about him. As people stare in shock and confusion, Spider-Man awkwardly tries to calm them down by saying, "Sorry, this isn't as bad as it looks." Unfortunately for him, it very much is. Spider-Man is sticking upside down with his mask and web shooters on, but absolutely nothing else. His entire suit is gone, leaving him completely naked except for a small patch of webbing covering his lower half. The reveal sends waves of disgust and laughter through the crowd. Several people recoil in horror while others whip out their phones and take pictures. Voices erupt from every direction with horrified reactions of, "Ew." Spider-Man finally admits the truth of the situation. "Okay, this is exactly as bad as it looks." The story then jumps back 4 hours earlier to explain how Spider-Man ended up in such an embarrassing situation. At Parker Industries on Pier 64, Peter Parker is speaking to a group of reporters after the chaos caused by the Green Goblin attack. Peter opens by joking about the rumors of his death, saying that those reports were greatly exaggerated and proudly introducing himself as being back. He assures everyone that the company and its employees are safe and ready to return to work. According to Peter, the only real damage the company suffered was the destruction of the big P in their logo, joking, "Trust me, it's business as usual around here at Parker Industries. We just had a big P break." The joke lands poorly and everyone stands awkwardly quiet. Peter then says, "Wow, tough room." One reporter then asks a serious question about whether the Goblin targeted Peter because of his known connection to Spider-Man. Peter admits that for years he's designed technology for Spider-Man, but after everything that has happened, he has promised his investors that Parker Industries will completely cut ties with the web-slinger from now on. From this point forward, Spider-Man will have to get his web fluid somewhere else. Standing beside him, Aunt May looks relieved and happily says, "Finally, thank goodness." After the reporters finish their questions and begin leaving, Peter is left with a few key people from Parker Industries. Sajani, his business partner, comments that the press conference went well and says that she's glad that Jay and Aunt May were there to show support because the company needs to present a unified front after everything that happened. Jay agrees, reminding Peter that he and May have invested a lot of money into the company and that the situation doesn't feel like Peter is taking things seriously enough. He turns directly to Peter and says that according to Sajani, Peter has been disappearing for weeks at a time. Peter awkwardly jokes that it certainly sounds like him. But Jay presses the issue and puts a hand on Peter's shoulder, asking where he keeps running off to and what could possibly be more important than his own company. Inside his head, Peter panics because the real answer is impossible to explain. He can't exactly tell them that Dr. Octopus swapped brains with him and secretly ran his life for months as the superior Spider-Man. In fact, Peter himself only discovered a few hours ago that he even owns Parker Industries. He still barely understands what Otto Octavius built and accomplished while living in his body. Instead of explaining the truth, Peter promises Jay that from now on, Parker Industries will be his top priority. Sajani backs him up but adds a very intense warning that if he disappears like that again, she will personally kill him. Peter quickly agrees with her statement. Yeah, what she said. As the moment passes, Peter reflects privately on the strange situation he has inherited. There are at least some silver linings. He woke up alive again and somehow ended up as the CEO of his own company. Looking over at Aunt May, he thinks, Aunt May couldn't be prouder. And look, she's walking again. Ock developed tech for her, so she could walk again without a cane. That crazy 8-armed mind-swapping creep. No matter what he did to me, I'll always owe him one for that. Later inside Parker Industries, Peter begins examining a collection of advanced cybernetic equipment that Otto Octavius had been developing before Peter regained control of his body. As he studies the complicated machinery and schematics, a wave of dread hits him. In his head, he panics, realizing that from a business standpoint he might as well be finished because he has no idea how any of this technology works. Out loud, he admits he's confused, asking about the project they're supposedly launching. Sajani calmly reminds him that they've already gone over this countless times. The company's big product is Parker Nanotech, a line of cybernetic robotic systems that Peter himself supposedly designed. If the technology works as planned, the company could make billions. Unfortunately, a flaw has recently appeared in the systems, which means Peter needs to personally go inside the lab and fix the problem. Inside his mind, Peter completely panics again. Otto Octavius was a brilliant cybernetic scientist, but Peter isn't that kind of specialist. Staring at the equipment, he realizes he has absolutely no idea what he's looking at. For a brief second, he wonders if there might be some way to access Otto's memories to understand the technology, but he immediately shuts the thought down. The experience of having Otto inside his mind was traumatic, and Peter refuses to even consider touching those memories again. Trying to buy himself time, Peter asks one of the researchers if someone could print out copies of all the specs so he can review them later that night. He thinks to himself, I mean, come on, I'm a genius. I'm sure I can figure this out. The employees react with total panic because they're terrified of him. They scramble to obey instantly, shouting, Yes sir, Dr. Parker, right away, on the double. Peter is stunned by their reaction, realizing that the entire staff seems afraid of him. Sajani notices his surprise and smiles with satisfaction, telling him that the employees are scared of him, and in her opinion, isn't it great? Sajani quickly tells Peter not to worry about the robot project right now because he has something more urgent to handle first in his personal lab. Peter repeats her words in confusion. In my lab? Which immediately annoys her because he keeps echoing things she says. She presses a button to open the lab area and reminds him that since Parker Industries is officially cutting all ties with Spider-Man, the first step is getting rid of every Spider-Man related project Otto created while running the company. To help with the task, a mechanical servant rolls into the room and politely greets Peter, revealing that Otto even built a robot butler for him. Peter stares at it in disbelief, muttering in surprise that he apparently owns a robot butler now. Sajani tells him to stop repeating everything she says and points out the large collection of Spider-Man suits, gadgets, and tech prototypes Otto had stored in the lab. Every single piece of it has to be thrown away because the company is going spider-free. With the instruction delivered, Sajani leaves Peter alone to clean up the lab. The robot politely asks how it can assist him. Peter starts by saying the robot should stop calling him doctor because he isn't one. Then he suddenly notices a framed university degree with his name on it and realizes Otto finished the doctorate for him while controlling his body. Okay. Apparently I'm a doctor now. This is too weird. The robot offers to bring him a drink, but instead Peter quietly picks up his old Spider-Man costume, smiling as he realizes exactly what he needs right now. Holding the suit, he decides the one thing that will clear his head is going back to being Spider-Man again. Not long after, Peter is swinging high above New York City. As he glides between skyscrapers, he feels an overwhelming rush of relief and freedom. Being Spider-Man again feels exactly like it should, soaring through the skyline, patrolling the city, and knowing that at any moment he might help someone in trouble. Every swing reminds him why he became a hero in the first place. Out loud, he admits how much he missed this life, promising himself that he will never take it for granted again. Down on the streets below, people notice him swinging overhead and start pointing. One person recognizes him immediately and says that's Spider-Man. Peter happily confirms it, beginning his usual introduction as your friendly neighborhood, but before he can finish, the reaction from the crowd suddenly turns hostile. Someone angrily shouts at him to get lost and calls him a jackbooted thug. Otto Octavius' time as the superior Spider-Man seriously damaged his reputation with the public. In his head, Peter sighs in realization. As Spider-Man continues swinging through the city, he reflects on how things are clearly not the same as before. This isn't exactly starting over from square one, because Otto Octavius, while controlling Peter's body, managed to alienate a lot of people. The citizens of New York, the police, and even the Avengers aren't exactly fans of Spider-Man anymore. Still, Peter tells himself that it's okay. This is his chance at a fresh start and a second chance at being Spider-Man the right way. If he keeps doing good deeds, stopping crimes, and proving himself again, eventually people will remember who he really is. Right as he finishes that optimistic thought, loud alarm bells suddenly start ringing somewhere in the city. Peter immediately swings toward the sound, excited because this is exactly the kind of situation he needs to rebuild his reputation. Hearing the alarm, he jokes that the timing couldn't be better and calls it music to his arachnoid ears, even thinking that maybe someone up there is looking out for him. The source of the chaos, the villain group, the Menagerie, is robbing an auction house. White Rabbit is thrilled that their plan has worked and announces that they've scored a fortune in stolen antiques. She orders her teammates to guard their escape route while she calls out instructions to another member of the team. When she accidentally refers to Skeen by her old villain name, Gypsy Moth, Skeen immediately corrects her and reminds everyone she doesn't go by that identity anymore. White Rabbit insists they stick to the animal-themed naming pattern for the team, but Skeen shrugs it off. Spider-Man swings into the chaos while joking about the conversation. White Rabbit instantly panics when she sees him and shouts for Skeen, still mistakenly calling her by the old name Gypsy Moth, to handle Spider-Man. Skeen immediately corrects her again, insisting her name is Skeen now, but White Rabbit brushes it off and orders her to deal with him using her powers. Skeen explains that the thing she does is controlling fabrics and threads, and she immediately uses that ability on Spider-Man's suit. Threads begin unraveling and weaving themselves apart as Spider-Man feels his costume literally coming undone around him. Realizing what's happening, he panics and yells, "Hey!" As pieces of the suit tear away. Skeen calmly explains she's unweaving and reweaving the fabric however she wants, even turning the threads into deadly weapons if needed. Spider-Man quickly realizes the danger and groans, "This is not good." But before she can finish dismantling everything, he lunges forward and knocks her down, warning her that she can mess with the rest of his outfit all she wants. But the mask is off limits. Spider-Man thinks to himself, "Almost had me there. Secret identity-wise, if she'd reached my mask, everyone would know that I'm Spider-Man suddenly realizes the full consequence of Skeen's attack. His suit has been completely destroyed, leaving him buck naked except for his mask. Internally, he panics, thinking he needs to start webbing immediately to cover himself before anyone notices too clearly. As he rapidly shoots webbing around his waist to cover his lower half, a crowd of bystanders surrounds him, snapping photos and recording videos with their phones. Spider-Man desperately tries to stop them, shouting, "Guys, cut it out! No pics!" But someone in the crowd is already posting it online, jokingly tagging the moment with #SpideyWhities. Horrified, Spider-Man yells in disbelief that they're actually tweeting it. Meanwhile, at Avengers Tower, Captain America and Spider-Woman watch the situation unfold on security monitors. Spider-Woman confidently tells Cap that she's convinced the man in the mask is really Peter Parker again, explaining that only Peter could end up in this situation this ridiculous. Captain America admits he might need more proof, but the broadcast continues showing Spider-Man frantically begging people, "I'm serious! No social media! Come on! My friends and family don't need to see this, especially... oh god, the Human Torch." At Johnny Storm's favorite bar, Johnny watches the broadcast and bursts into loud laughter. At the same time, in a park near her apartment, Mary Jane Watson sees the clip on her laptop. She smiles slightly, closes the computer, and simply mutters, "Idiot." The story returns to the scene of the crime at 49th Street and 6th Avenue, bringing everything full circle. Spider-Man continues chasing the remaining members of the menagerie while still half covered in emergency webbing. He quickly deals with Hippo, knocking the massive villain flat with a powerful punch and remarking that Skeen, White Rabbit, and Hippo are already handled. "You're all that's left, miss." The villain nervously introduces herself as Pandemania, explaining that she's actually new to the whole villain business. Spider-Man immediately webs her up mid-sentence and sarcastically welcomes her to the club while she screams in frustration. Nearby civilians watch the bizarre scene unfold. One woman points out, "Half-naked man in a mask tying up a girl in a fuzzy animal suit? Should that kid be watching this?" Another man nearby bluntly says he doesn't think anyone should be watching this situation at all. Just as Spider-Man finishes webbing the criminals, an elderly woman angrily points at him and scolds him instead of thanking him. Confused, Spider-Man says, "Sorry, ma'am?" But the woman demands he put some clothes on and asks who he thinks he is. Miley Cyrus? Spider-Man awkwardly tries to recover by asking if anyone has a pen so he can leave one of the usual courtesy of Spider-Man notes for the police. Instead, another bystander angrily calls him a freak and tells him to leave immediately. Realizing the crowd has completely turned against him, Spider-Man gives up and swings away from the scene, still wearing nothing but his mask and a quick patch of webbing for modesty. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel.